Athletic Player of the Year award. In a mild upset, in a year of controversy, Lee Corso gets his way. Tommy Frazier is the Russell Athletic Player of the Year. You know what he did for Nebraska? School record 32 career wins. What he's done ever since a starter as a freshman for Nebraska. He is the difference maker, says Tom Osborne, and he's certainly a big reason why Nebraska is playing in a third consecutive national championship game. And if a quarterback is judged by wins and losses, what can you say about a guy who starts in 3 consecutive national championship games with a 1-1 record coming into this one?
Well, Chris, as you saw in the video right there, the most important thing about Frazier is he's dangerous. You can't hardly stop him inside the red zone. That's where he's going to give Florida problems.
Yeah, he's a great athlete, number one, but he's a good college quarterback, number two, and he allows himself to have the kind of performance he does because of his offensive line that gives him time to run and do those things. The guy is a big game player, and that's why Nebraska will stay tight in this game with Florida.
Running backs. Nebraska, of course, has started 4 different I-backs, and they have Tommy Frazier, a guy who's basically another running back playing quarterback. But the Gators have another way to get the ball besides the option to their running backs.
Chris, Florida uses their running backs to throw the ball to them in the outside, to get outside, just like Nebraska does to run the option to get outside. Example here, watch this swing pass to Fred Taylor. He catches the ball. It's just like an option play. It's like a sweep play. Here's a draw play to Terry Jackson. They love this play right here. Now, everybody's talking about the Florida passing game, but let me tell you something very interesting. Florida averages running the ball over 30 times a game. They average over 5 yards per carry. Nebraska better be watching it because I tell you, Florida could beat them running the football.
Absolutely. They got good running backs. Nothing really great in the backfield like a Lawrence Phillips or a Mon Green, but these guys can run the ball. You talk about running the football, you really have to go to Nebraska and you figure out how to run the option. This is a football team that has made a living year in and year out winning football games when they get to the outside. Tommy Frazier, as Chris said, is like a running back in the backfield. Watch your guard and tackle. They're going to wall off the inside there. Nobody gets down, you are stuck to the inside. Then Frazier's going to stretch the linebacker, get him out there, which allows your fullback and wide receiver to get on their men. Nobody is uncovered. And then no pursuit. Guard and tackle did their job. You have clean, easy running from Ahman Green. When you have players like he and Phillips and Nebraska's running backs, you're going to have good opportunities out there. It's very important if you're a defender at Florida this week, you get off your block, especially if you're a linebacker.
Problem is, that's just one thing. Then you got to cover the tight ends and pass patterns and cover those traps. If you recall the Orange Bowl, Nebraska beat Miami in the 4th quarter with those fullback traps, and they think that Florida's defense, that 4-4, cheats a little bit to the outside. Keep an eye on Nebraska trying to attack the middle of that defense.
About his suspension with great maturity. And what were the Gators doing? They're having a good time with Lee Corso. Florida, as you would expect the Gators, very relaxed, not overcome by the atmosphere of a national championship game. With Corso and James, all right, we know the Gators love to pass, guys, and in 5 days they'll do that against Nebraska. We know the Cornhuskers love to run. So, Craig, what do the Nebraska wide receivers do while the Cornhuskers have the ball?
They do lots of blocking, my friend. When they're downfield, it's not downfield to catch a pass. They know they've got to maintain their blocks and create openings for the running backs. There are 4 or 5 categories we have for you tonight in the awards that they give out to various people. Now, if you just have a devastating blow, you get a stone. If you want a blazer, you got to blaze a path. Or if you trip up a defender, you get an extra effort, a knockdown. You can just knock somebody down and you get an award for that. After Media Day today, or during Media Day, I had a chance to visit with some of their wide receivers, and they were joking. They said, hey, we have awards around here, too, now. We want to beat somebody else to the first 20 catches on the season. They were laughing about the Florida receivers getting 6 catches in 1 quarter. It's just the way it is when you're playing wide receiver at Nebraska.
Hey, Florida catches that ball. And let me tell you something. Until this season, no SEC team has ever had 2 players on the same team with 1,000 yards receiving in the same year. Florida did it. Chris Doering and Ike Hilliard. They're 2 of the great receivers in the country. Now watch Chris Doering as he runs this pattern. They run into the soft spots better than anybody. They find the area, they keep the eye on the quarterback, boom, touchdown. Now the best way to stop Florida's passing is the way Ole Miss tried to do it. They kept the ball away from them. Ole Miss only lost 28-10. That's a good strategy for Nebraska.
One thing we've always seen with Florida, great communication. They're on the same page, and we've heard so many great stories about the great combo of Weurful and Doering. Well, those guys are with our guy, Chris Fowler, downstairs street level. Chris?
All right, Mike, thank you very much. We've got the SEC's Player of the Year and the all-time leader in the SEC in touchdown receptions with me. You guys, you don't seem to be taking this big game hype to heart? You seem so relaxed, and the talk all week has been, well, Florida hasn't been there before, and they won't know how to react. Nebraska has.
I think the biggest thing is, the biggest fear is getting too tight and worrying about things too much. And, you know, we obviously know how big of a game it is, and we're excited to be here, but we're trying to maintain a good, relaxed composure and just to go about our business.
I'm glad you're here since your girlfriend skipped town, and I know you had other plans, so she drives to El Paso, 400 miles away, instead of spending the night with you here. We've talked about the man-to-man aggressive kind of coverage they play, something you haven't seen all year, and they are very confident they can jam you at the line and prevent those precise routes that you run.
Yeah, they have a real different scheme than what we've seen so far this season. LSU ran a lot similar to what they do. They play a lot of bump and run and a lot of cover one, and we didn't have such a good game against LSU, so hopefully it'll be a little different for us this time.
Have you reflected on your career and now playing for a national championship? A lot's been made out of the fact that you were not initially has 1, 2, 3, 4, and about at 4 seconds they're going to be able to hit you. But you have taken your share of punishment this year and gotten up off the turf.
Well, I think that's football. You know, them running backs get hit on every play and they get taken down, and you know, they're going to get there. They're great athletes across the board with the blitzes they're going to do. You know, we expect to get hit a couple times, but I have confidence in our line, and you know, you take a hit, you get up, and you keep trying to do your best.
Do you look forward to maybe being challenged in the fourth quarter? A lot's been made of the fact, well, Florida hadn't been there before, hadn't had to come from behind and face that kind of adversity. You might in this game.
I think that's what football is all about, is, you know, the big games at the end, a national championship game, and you know, if we're fortunate, we'll be excited to be in the fourth quarter playing for this game and giving it the best we have.
Chris, take care of this guy. The girlfriend's not in town. I want you to
Show continues with your host, Chris Fowler.
Red is the dominant color. A lot more Nebraska fans than Gator fans in Tempe as the countdown to the kickoff approaches. And a lot more up here watching the show from the roof. Is Heisman runner-up and the #3 vote getter, Danny Weurful. I don't think any of us expect either one of those quarterbacks to have the kind of nightmare that Benny did across the street that night.
Well, talking about Danny Weurful, no quarterback in college football throws the post corner cut better than Florida's quarterback, Danny Weurful. Now, as we show you these two plays, look at one thing. There's no accident that the ball in both of these plays are on the opponent's 20 or 22. First one, post corner, Chris Doering against Florida State. It's a timing cut against Auburn. Ball's on the 21. Ike Hilliard, touchdown. Same exact spot. And I promise you, my friends, if Nebraska plays zone coverage anywhere in that 20 area, post corner, Florida, touchdown.
Yeah, timing tough to beat those guys if they
tough.
do it so well. And the reason is there's another option for Weurful somewhere else, too, if they have that covered on the post corner. Tommy Frazier, though, you got to respect him as well. Weurful's an outstanding leader, but so is Frazier. And how does Tommy Frazier go about being a leader on the football field? Well, he earns their respect with his play. Tommy's a great all-around athlete, and he's one of the things that you say, well, what else can he do? The guy can block. Check out Frazier. Coming back, clearing block. Now, that's awesome. So, therefore, last year, fourth quarter against Miami, when he went into the game, that's why his teammates said, this is our leader. This is a guy that can carry us to the national championship, and he did it. He won their respect on the football field just like he's won the respect of college players around the country.
As a coach, do you want your quarterback flying in there making blocks
No,
like that?
sir. Are you kidding me? Not Danny Weurful. I guarantee he won't do it.
Frazier is tough enough to take
Field
it.
catalyst lead for the Florida special teams.
Well, Mike, their special team coach at Florida is Ron Zook, and I tell you what, he's done a great job of instilling enthusiasm in his team. In fact, some of the coaches and players think the guy's crazy. He's so wild. Now, I tell you what, Florida has blocked 7 kicks this year, including this punt. And their special teams have this great special teams, and I'll tell you, I make a prediction right now. Florida will block 1 kick against Nebraska in the championship game.
I'll predict this, 2 things. One, no, they will not block one. And the other is if you'd have participated in that dance, you'd have broke your hip. Hey, you know what? Both teams have a lot of depth throughout their roster, which means you're going to have good special teams. As for Nebraska and their kicking game, if you have a true freshman, you usually worry about your place kicker and your field goals. Chris Brown is a true freshman who is unbelievable. This is a 47-yarder against Michigan State, the longest of his career this year, his only time in the career. You got to consider this guy set a school record for field goal percentage, 81% of them. A school record for points, 97 points. He's an athlete, 2 state titles in the state of Texas. He led his team to. He was a quarterback. So in a pressure situation, he's been there. He's been a leader before. He will not falter.
The rest of Nebraska's special teams has always been good. From a place-kicking only standpoint, for the first time in a while, we can say Nebraska's the stronger team going into a bowl game. We couldn't say that.